Hey, welcome to the podcast. I am Hank Groff, and in this series where we name the 10 toxic leadership habits that can poison teams and tribes, we are going to go ahead and talk about today, episode 3, which is the blame culture. The blame game, no accountability. So this is going to be a good one. I hope you stay tuned. You're going to learn something new today, right here on HankGroffTV. I'm going to make a bold statement here today. A leader who plays the blame game and won't take accountability for their actions and the mistakes they make is like a builder of broken buildings that are ready to collapse. It is so true. It's not incompetence. It's not a bad strategy, guys. It's the poison of blame culture. If your team meetings are quiet, if no one speaks up, I guarantee you, it's not unity. It's the fear of retribution. It's the fear of someone obviously being pointed at. That's pretty bad because here's the reality. In our world today, we have so few leaders who are willing to take responsibility. If you've watched football and you watch a game where there's a great captain, typically the quarterback, or even the coach, he'll say, look, man, I take full responsibility. Now, go watch another one that's struggling and you always see them pointing at someone else. I mean, they'll even point to the media. But the reality is that great leaders, great people who want to lead companies, organizations, the military, they learn that secret. The secret is they are ultimately accountable as leaders. Now, here's the thing. Today, we're going to talk about how we can take these people and give them the antidote. There is an antidote for everything we talk about in these 10 series about the poisons. There's always going to be that magic syringe that you hit them with, and it's going to change the outlook. Are you willing to be, do you want to be a great leader? Well, stay tuned. You're going to want to know more about this. But let's talk more about what the symptoms are. How does the poison show up? It's the CYA. We all know what it stands for, right? Cover your... And it's the email you get copied on. It's the finger pointing after a deadline is missed. It's the gossip in the hallway. How many times have you worked for a company where you had a weak leader and, they're always quick to play the blame game? In life, we all love games. I'm a big fan of Monopoly. I'm sure if you're watching this show and you play Monopoly, it's because you're a winner. You want to go ahead and be competitive. You want to win. There's nothing wrong with that. But when the need to win at the expense of losing and blaming someone else, that's a problem. And we have a lot of it in our world today. So let's talk about, this isn't just a business problem, by the way. Let's talk about where it affects every walk of life. It shows up even in church leadership. And of course, we talk to all walks of life because HankGroffTV is more focused on helping everyone in every aspect. Remember, our purpose here is to help people become better, servants, leaders in their society, in their business, and everyday life. And we want to touch on every aspect. As a person of faith who has worked in churches and ministries and also in the business world, it happens in every aspect, and the military. It happens in every area of our world today. It happens in sports. It shows up in sports during game loss postmortems. You've seen it. ESPN, the guy loses. He's there in front of the entire journalists and broadcasters. And what do they say? Man, you know what? That other guy, he's such a dirty player. He caused me to lose the game and throw 3 interceptions. That doesn't play in today's society because we've got about 1 million cameras focused everywhere in any game, even high school. It shows up in the government and in the military, and that's pretty sad. But I believe you'll see this sometimes more than anywhere. I call it the lower rank syndrome, where you're not a petty officer or you're not a sergeant, but you might be a ensign or a lieutenant or a captain. I call that the sort of 01 or maybe E7, E9 to 01, 04. range of responsibility that says, look, I'm not the high guy, but I'm in this role and I don't want to lose it. And so I've got to find someone else to blame for the problems that we're facing. You can read endless stories. They're out there. I'll never forget about a gentleman who caused his ship to have serious consequences because they didn't do the proper planning and exercises that they were supposed to do the right way, and it affected their ability to serve. And he was removed from his ship as the captain. It happens in government as policy missteps. Look what's happening right now with our government shutdown. What a mess. Yesterday, I'll just share a little personal story. I wrote a message on Instagram to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and I pleaded with him. I said, look, man, I said, let's stop the blame game. And this is a Christian man, confesses Christ, outspoken about his faith. I said, Mike, we're both old enough. I'm 60. I'm sure he's in his 50s. And we're both old enough to recognize that if we're going to win this isn't about win this. If we're going to get the government open up, it's not about winning this. It's about getting this realized that we all need to work together as one unified country, and we need to get the government up and running again. It's a mess. It's a constant blame game. So let me share the story of when I was in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was going to see a client. I was staying at a hotel in downtown, and I came across this falling building. Watch this video.
All right, we're following some breaking news this morning out of New Orleans. Our station there is reporting that a Hard Rock hotel was under construction there, has collapsed. This video from a viewer shows what happened. Construction workers could be seen running from the structure as the structure came crashing down. At this point, there's no word on injuries, but this is still early on, and emergency personnel are still searching the site. We'll continue to have updates.
Now, later on in the news, it had been exposed that the company's bad construction came from a blame culture, and passing the buck was the cause. That's the cost of lack of accountability. The blame culture doesn't just poison a project, it can poison the future. It can poison us in so many ways. As leaders, we have to look through this as with a sharper lens. I always say in our nonprofit, the one that I serve in, called the TMF Warrior, you have to look at life through a clear lens, a sharper lens. And the scripture for the poison is Proverbs 28:13. I'm going to read this. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them will find mercy. Let's be clear. A blame culture is just a group of people concealing their sins. It's hiding. It's deception. It's a team saying, I will not be found out. Here's the worst part. It's a weakness. It's weak leadership. It's not wanting to face the pain of being wrong and the consequences that ultimately you'll be held accountable. And that's so sad, because it just shows it. Everyone is so transparent, so clear, like cellophane wrapping. Everyone can see it. They can see right through it. And it's not a mark of a great leader. But there is an antidote. The cure is extreme ownership and confession. The scripture for the antidote, let me give you this to you. You want to write this down, is James 1:19. I'm going to read this. My dear brothers and sisters, that's what I love about this. Take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, or as one translation says, slow to wrath. A leader who wants to kill the blame culture, this is what they do. They're first quick to listen. They are desperate to hear the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's painful. And a true leader is not afraid to hear the truth. They don't blame people. They'll look at the process and they want to find a way to make it better, to find a solution. They're slow to speak. They don't react quickly. They don't point fingers. They ask questions. It's not about, oh my God, who got us into this mess? Who is it? Who's the one to blame? No, it doesn't matter who's to blame. And if you're a great leader, ultimately, it rolls up to you. You should always be the first to take that responsibility. Hey guys, we had a failure over the weekend. This project didn't get completed in time. I'm going to be the first to say, I take full responsibility. It's my fault. And immediately it can take away the fear, the sting, the nervousness of anyone to be able to say, thank God we have a leader who is not going to point the finger at anyone but himself. That's a huge differential when you're working with great people. And you're slow to become angry. They see failure as a data point, not as a personal attack. Don't take things personal. Whether you're a fan of President Trump or not, on the show, You're Fired, The Apprentice, I love what he used to say. Look, it's not personal. This is just business. And we can't get things so personal in life. Whether you love him or hate him, we spend too much time pointing the finger and getting things too personal. The leader always should go first. You want your team to be accountable, right? That's what we want. You have to be accountable first yourself. You want them to confess, then you have to be the first to confess. Here's a great video of Jocko Willink, where he talks on the TED Talks about extreme ownership. About 30 seconds. Check this out.
That there was only one person at fault for what had happened. There was only one person to blame. And that person was me. I am responsible for everything that happens. It hurt. It hurt my ego. It hurt my pride to take the blame. But I also knew. I knew that to maintain my integrity as a leader and as a mayor, I had to take responsibility. And in order to do that, I had to control my ego so that my ego did not control me.
All right, so what I got for you guys, the Antidote Playbook. I'm an ex-football player, big on the playbook, reading the playbook, memorizing, knowing your plays, understanding the playbook. So let's talk about the three key moves in our playbook about how you can transform yourself to be the kind of leader who doesn't play in the blame game, who isn't a builder of bad buildings. So move one, name the poison and confess it, right? Let's call a team meeting. And you go first. Say something like this. Team, I've allowed a culture of blame to grow in our company here, and I've participated. In fact, I'm the one who may have even initiated. Here is one example how I failed. And then share a story. You confess one specific example in front of your team. This isn't about being weak. It's about being the first one to be vulnerable. It gives them permission to be honest. What a huge move that is as a leader. Now, second, install a guardrail in your business or in your organization or in your ministry. The next time a project fails, install a simple guardrail. The best one is called a blameless postmortem. Check this out. The rules are simple. You are only allowed to talk about what went wrong with the process, not who messed up. Okay? You're looking for system failures, not human failures. This changes the entire conversation. You get back to, guys, we want a project to succeed. I don't care who made a mistake. It's not about that. It's about what do we need to do to achieve success? And that's where everyone can get on board. And move three, invite a truth teller. Find someone in your life, a mentor, a peer, a coach, and invite them to be your truth teller for 30 days. Tell them you're fighting the blame culture in your company and you need to talk to them and let them see it with a different set of eyes. I say at our company, my company where I consult Haxicane, we love to look at your business through a different lens, a different set of eyes, different lens. Then you report what they said back to your team. This creates visibility and external accountability. So what are some of the objections and counter moves? Listen, I've heard it all. Hank, I know the objection, right? I know it. Hank, I confess, if I confess my failures in front of my team, right, then I'm going to lose all my authority. They'll see me as weak. Actually, this is a lie from the poison. The authority you're afraid of losing is based upon fear and intimidation. Who wants that? What kind of leadership is that, where everything you do is based on intimidation and fear? It's fragile, okay? The authority you gain when you confess is based on trust and integrity. It is unbreakable. Your team always knows that you're not perfect. You may think you don't want them to know, but the reality is they've seen your mistakes. They've seen your bad decisions, right? You're clearly the one in charge. And sadly, if you're a leader in position and you're afraid if you're going to be weak, you're going to lose your role, then you're probably not a good leader. You need to take stock of what we're sharing with today. If you almost have to be willing to lose your position in order to be brutally honest and truthful and transparent. So here is your action challenge for the week. Let me go ahead and give you guys a little CTA, call to action. Pick one of these 3 playbook moves, but I'm challenging you to do the hardest one. Name the poison. Call the meeting. Confess one failure. Be the first to take extreme ownership. And when you do, and when you see this in your world, I want you to join the community. So the prompt for this week is this: where have you seen the poison harm your team or your tribe, your organization? And what antidote started the healing? Here's what I would love you to do is make sure, first of all, that you like this episode if you do value it. 2, that you would subscribe to our channel. But more importantly, this time, go down into the comments and create your own comment. If you're not someone who leaves comments, I think you'll find it valuable to read the comments. My wife always says, if she's looking at something on social media, I find it more thrilling and exciting to read the comments than actually watch the story, because it's other people's perspective. So go to the comments and leave one and leave your story, okay? And like I said, if you're getting value from this channel and you've learned just a little bit more and it's encouraged you to take a greater step to be a greater leader, here's what I ask you to do. Subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Comment with your answers whenever we have the opportunity. And biggest thing is, I think I'd like you to do this for me. A big favor. Share this with your friends. Say, hey, this is really timely. And you can do this by resharing the story on YouTube. Take a clip of it. I had no problem with that. You can take clips. I'm saying it right now. And bits and pieces that you find valuable, show them on LinkedIn, show them on your business page, whatever it takes. It's all about getting better, okay? Once again, guys, I wrap this up. I remind you, lead with courage, lead with integrity, and I'll see you next time as we tackle the next toxic habit here on HankGroffTV. See you soon.